Okay, there we go. All right, so let me do that one more time because I see you guys writing it down. You're going to go to File. You're going to go to Page Setup, Widescreen. You're going to click on the word Custom, and that gives you the opportunity to change. So here I'm going to put 8.5 by 11, so I've got a regular page, and now my page is the same size as my PDFs and those different things that I'm going to be playing with anyway. Okay, so I go ahead and get rid of this for the time being so that I just have a blank page to be working with. Now on this one, you can see that this one is a table and text already done for you. You could just copy and paste that into our new document here. Notice that it kind of gets wonky. And again, kids can come in once this is done and they can type anywhere. So they could get rid of the directions and things like that. So it depends on your students for sure of how much you think that's even going to impact what you need them to do and what you're going to get from them. If you think this is going to work for you, then you don't need to do anything else. You've got the document in, you know, and you can do it in either way. So either one of these is going to work. But if you've got younger kids where this might be an issue, what you can do instead is using your snipping tool, which is that little guy right there. If you don't have it there, if you open this window and go to snipping tool, okay, then there's your snipping tool, right? So when I get in there and go to new, I can take a picture of this, save it, Heather, yes, the answer is yes on that. So this one is going to be text feature, and I think I've already got one in there, so I'm going to remove that one. Okay. All right, so I've got my text features. When I go in here, I want a new slide, so we'll get rid of that. And this time I'm going to go to background. I'm going to choose an image. I'm going to browse and click my text features chart. Then I'm ready to hit done. And now they can't change anything on my background. And you may want to do a better job than me. I have the little drop down arrow there and I clicked there, so you may want to be better at it than me. But then the next thing I do is I take a text box, I click on that, and then I come in and make a text box where I want them to start working. I usually give it a different color so that they know something's different about that box. And then I will, oops, copy that and start putting my boxes where they go. And that's going to make this whole thing a little bit easier for younger students or squirrely students to only be interacting with the materials where you want them interacting with the materials. And some of these might be better examples than others. I'm just doing ones that are coming up in the curriculum this week. So that's one option. And so if I wanted to make the next one, so the next one over here is just a writing lesson. So this one, I could just copy the text from here and make that go into my new slide. So I can come in here and put the instructions, right? And then on this one, when I'm wanting them to do the writing below, then again, I can just use that same color to let them know that that's where I want them to do their work. So the next opportunity here, they took this from a PDF. You can see that they've got a PDF in here. They've already made it into a picture for you. It's just not in a great format for kids to actually interact with. So this time I'm going to actually just copy it and put it into a new page on my presentation. Now, these can be individual presentations or you can do one at a time, okay? So then again, I want to do my background, choose my image. You know what, I didn't save that image, did I? I just copied it. So I can just either copy it and paste it like that one, or I can do the background image, but I would have to save it as an image. So some of these might be better off instead of selecting it and copying it like I did to actually let's see, take that picture again. It really doesn't want to unclick. Trying not to mess up their stuff. Okay, so again, you'd come in with the snipping tool, new, and it might just be best practice to always just take a new picture of it or to save that picture somehow. Okay, so again, then there's my word study, and I can save that and put it straight into that presentation. Once again, going to the background, choosing my image, browsing for it, and we'll choose this one this time. So this is just another picture of a PDF. And so it looks very similar to the PDFs they would have, but I can come in and again put my text box where I want them to interact and color it the color I want them to do. So that's going to be one of the easy ones. Again, each one of these can be an individual response. This can be the whole week. It could be lots of different ways to kind of manipulate how you want them to respond. So the other example I want to show, and I'm going to go back to this one example here. Get rid of all of these. All right, so this was an activity from, yeah, I know, this is why I wanted to make sure that you guys could see that. I don't know if you saw the message from Heather Thomas. Lots of your stuff in ELA and math and all the different subjects are in PDFs. So that's kind of why I was wanting to show you this. Okay, so I've been playing with this one, so I'm going to put these back where they are. So what you would have seen if you had seen the original is basically manipulatives off to the side, or you could make a line down at the bottom depending on the age of your student again, and your manipulatives in picture form will be wherever you want them to be. So right now we're just kind of throwing them off to the side, but you could also put them down here as well. And then when I pull them over, again, I've got pictures to be able to use as manipulatives that kids can slide across the screen. So that's what we're going to learn to create now, okay? So I'm going to do a new one. Again, we're in Google Slides to make this happen. And you can have anything in the background. You know, it might be a sorting activity where you're wanting to classify objects, or you're wanting to sort objects in different ways. It can be it can be text boxes. It can be vocabulary. I mean, there's just, the sky's the limit. I'm just going to give you the how right now of what to do with that to make it. So we're going to make our screen just a little bit smaller. And then we are going to insert an image. I'm going to search the web, and this time I want a star. And I can just choose one of my stars here. It's going to make a fairly large picture. We're just going to make that tiny. And then I'm going to hit Control D several times. Control D is just going to duplicate that image, and I can do as many of them as I want to. Then I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to select everything that I just duplicated. From there, I want to go to Arrange, Align, and I'm going to do Center. Then I'm going to do Arrange, Align, and Middle. Now this becomes my stack of items for my manipulatives. And again, you can have it off to the side, or you can draw a line at the bottom and have all the manipulatives on the bottom of the page. It kind of depends on what you've got going on. If you've already got a PDF that you're working on that you want the manipulatives to work over and you've used it as your background, then you might want it off screen, something like that. But kids will be able to see that. Once I click off of it, notice how I've got that box around all of it, and I can move that whole stack all at once. Once I click off of it, they become individuals. And that's when I start looking like I've got the manipulatives that I can pull off the stack. Okay? I know this, I'm probably being nerdy about it, but I thought this was the coolest thing ever. So again, I can do a coin. I probably should do something specific, like a penny. Okay, so then I can come in, and maybe I want some of them to be each one. So I'm going to actually choose both the front and the back. I'm going to click off so I just have one image, and then I'm going to make them the same size. Make sure that they're actually the same size, otherwise that'll be odd. Okay, so I'm going to actually select both of them by hitting Shift and selecting both objects, and then do the same thing, Control V. And again, I'm going to select all of them, arrange, align, center, arrange, align, middle, and I've got one stack. Now, some are going to be, you might want to be better about it than I did here. You might want to actually arrange them so some are going to be the fronts and some are the backs so that they can get both as manipulatives. But then I drag that over to my list of manipulatives off to the side. Another idea might be, I'm trying to think what other manipulatives. Bears. We love bear counters. Oh, not the right kind of bears. Maybe a gummy bear. Let's do a gummy bear. Just want a single gummy bear. So there's my little orange gummy bear. And here we go. Make them small again. And again, just Control D. For a whole bunch of them, select. And I've got my pieces off to the side. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a game changer to be able to do some manipulatives. Because remember in Smart, we always had those like cloned images and they could just pull up the manipulatives on the board and it was so cool. And so I was like, oh my gosh, to be able to recreate that now on an individual device for kids, this is going to absolutely change how we can use this to actually teach. And Tanya, I had talked to you before about doing it on, you know, notes on the staff and yeah, music notation and things like that. So there's just so many different ways that this can be used. I just wanted you to see kind of the basics of how it worked. I don't mind doing another activity if you want to see it, but that was kind of the main things that I was kind of wanting to play around with and let you see how slides can really do quite a bit for you, actually. And so this one right here was actually one of the things that went out last week. And we had made that to kind of look at how we could change some of those different ones. So, you know, just thinking about what they're putting in the home learning just in a slightly different way. And I think I got rid of it, the link to it. Curriculum. Okay. I'm not sure what everybody has right now. Yes, Heather. So if you've got a PDF, then you can put whatever you want, to be honest. You can do part of it, you can do all of it. I'm going to see if I had another example in here that we could turn into something. All right. So a lot of these are going to be pages. So let's see what they've got in here. This is concept development, application. Oh, look, these are already in slides, so you may not even have to do as much anymore depending on what they've created for you. All right, so they've already got little text box in each one that you can answer in. Okay, so they're going to be working on some of these. We've been kind of sharing that with some of the curriculum coordinators. So it looks like they've been kind of working on doing some of that. So you may even see some good examples of what they're putting out already created depending on who's doing what and where. So you can see that they've just done a picture instead of being able to write over the top of it. So you may want to actually save that picture if possible and put that in as a background so students can highlight and, you know, do some of the different things if they needed to. So if you're still working on strategies that you want them to still be working on to help show their work and show their thinking, that would be a way to do that on something like this. So, good question. How do I get it back to my kids? So then once I've got some of this made, remember that we are making copies. So like this one right here is not mine, so I'd have to make a copy of it. And I want the entire presentation, and I'm going to put it in my drive. Okay. In my folder. So I know where to find it. There we go. Okay. Then when I'm in my class over here, so I'm going to use that one that I was using earlier that doesn't have anybody in it. Go to my classwork, go to create, and I can go to an assignment or a material. Either one of those will work. And I'm going to put my, fifth grade mentoring math, right? And my activity page. And then here, write the answers in the boxes beside the worksheet. All right, then I can add from my Google Drive. Usually the most recent things you've worked on will be here. If not, you can type in the word, so I would know that that's what it was called, but I have it up here as well, and it is recent, so I'm just going to go ahead and click it and add, and then there's that page. And since I didn't know what page it was, I'll put on there the page number as well, because I think that's how they're kind of keeping up with it. Then again, over here for for the class that you want, you can select multiple classes to send it to everyone. You can choose all students, or if you've got a grouping of students, you can group them by what you want them to see. And then you want to make sure that it's make a copy for each student so that they're not working on the same one, and it becomes a template for them to be able to use. You can do your due date, things like that. Remember, ungraded. I showed you the rubric earlier, but you can put a rubric in if you want to. If not, you'll always have a commenting and feedback option. Then you can assign, schedule, or save your draft. We're going to assign it for now so that we can see it and open it and see how you would get that. And then now I've got my live assignment. You can see where things are. And then in my Drive folder, I'll get to that in a second. Then I've got my activity right here, and it would name one for each one of the students in my class if I had students in here. Okay. So Heather, it is one of the weird features about Google Classroom from Google's perspective that scheduling the post only works on an individual assignment. So in order to schedule something ahead, you have to do it individually. So you can share it all ahead. You can use the draft feature to then use it as a demo post to be able to post all of them and schedule that way. But to do mass scheduling, it's not an option. That was a question I got earlier, and they have a whole thread right now, and I'll put it in the chat. There's a whole thread right now about why I guess people who want it, and if you want to add yourself to the list, you can just go straight to that link. But yeah, some people care, some people don't. I think it will let me do a picture in the Meet, so I won't have the picture, but there is the support page for that. But yeah, basically it just grays out the opportunity for scheduling ahead if you're in multiples. And then ungraded, you want it ungraded right now because you don't want to confuse parents about grading. Everything is pass-fail. It's not about grades, it's about the feedback. And so just making sure that keeping that in line with the new guidelines being put out. And since there's not a rubric yet, I don't know if campuses are doing that or what. It's just a way of making sure that everybody's on the same page with the same vocabulary. And so let's see, I can't do it in this one, but I was showing it in another class earlier, and so I will show that real quick. In this one, when I go into the work, so this one right here, and I view my assignment, I can come in and click on a student's work like this. And if it was ungraded, I'm still going to have this comment feature right here where I can put my, you have received the a passing grade for this assignment, and here's why. Okay, so that would be probably a better feedback avenue for right now, just so that until we get whatever those guidelines are, we don't really want to tell parents anything other than a pass or a fail, because if they start seeing 80s, 70s, 90s, all this sort of thing, and someone's giving grades and someone's just telling me pass and fail, when the only thing the district has told us is pass and fail from 70 or above, but they haven't given us the criteria to decide what a 70 or above is, that makes it difficult for me to say what you should do in this situation. And I just don't want it to be a confusion down the line, especially if we have to just change that. But just make sure that if you give them a passing grade, then you're giving them a why so that they have real feedback why this is happening. And then if it is a failing grade, that you tell them why it is failing and how do they bring that back up again. So that there's always an opportunity for them to then meet that requirement somehow, whether it's enrichment or something like that. Okay. All right. David, yes, I can rename this however I want to at that point. If I come, it's my copy, no one else has it other than me. So it's not going to mess up anybody else's stuff. So
thank you. That's
sure.
what I've been.
Yeah, sure. So questions? Want to see another example? Anything? This one was kind of short, sorry. I guess it is 1:30 though. Was this something new for all of you? I was just so excited when I saw it, so I was like, this is the coolest thing. I know, I get excited about weird things though. From my students' view, I only had 3 students show me their work. Where do students submit their work? Okay, so when they're in here, I'm going to go to one that I'm a student in. So I'm a student for him right here. So then when I'm in here, I can go to this one right here and view my assignment, see that I haven't turned it in. I can either add or create. I can work on the assignment here, and then when I'm finished, I can hit turn in, or I can hit turn in straight in that document. Okay, so turn in is also right here as well. So that's where students submit their work. It's going to be on each assignment. So he sent that assignment out, and I can put my work in and turn it in. The other place that you can go is, let's see, I think I got out of Classroom altogether. All right. So if I go back to this one and I go to classwork, there's a class drive folder. And in my class drive folder, I have every assignment already created for me. As soon as my assignments are created, they show up right here. So there's my assignment, and it names it for them as they put it in. This one was a creation thing, so it didn't name it for them, so that's why everything's kind of funny. This one right here you can see that it gives them their name and then the title of assignment, and it names it for them. Okay? So if they did a submission, then it's named whenever they submitted their submission. If they did the document, it named it for them that way. So that's where I can look at all of their work as they're working in it. So that's going to be a real-time view of wherever they are progress-wise on what they asked for or what you asked for. Everything you put in your Google Classroom for the students to see is also going to be in here. So it's going to make a copy of everything right here. So if you're wanting to change something specifically in your classroom, you can do it within here without having to look for it in your drive, in case your drive looks anything like mine, which is crazy. Any other questions? Or any other examples you want to see? If not, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So at least that's down. And I missed the first